I'd done my MBA in English in Japan. So the courses were basically being marketed to MBA candidates who did not have any Japanese proficiency. So I did my 2 years there, and during that time, I made an effort to learn Japanese, and I got to the point where I could just barely pass an interview in Japanese. At the beginning of the second year I was there, I started doing freelancing on the side. I thought it would be a good opportunity not only to improve my language capabilities, but also to make a little extra money. I was mostly in Japan for the international experience anyway, so salary wasn't my number one requirement. I think I realized about 2 years after I started doing freelance translation that it would be best to specialize. So about 2 years after I started, I picked the legal and medical fields, continued for the past 8 years, I'd say. And I think I found PGLS in 2019. I can't remember exactly the year that I signed up with you guys. I think it was the first couple projects I received were very small. First, but then I started receiving more voluminous work where I get 500-600 pages of work just relating to a single patient. And then I was like, wow, this is very attractive. In general, I feel like there's definitely different avenues you can take. It depends on what field your specialization is in. You can expect to have work, but you just can't really expect to know exactly how much work you're going to get on any given day. When I first became a translator, I was pretty hungry. I really wanted to get as much work as I possibly could to establish myself. So I was taking on way too much. I was pulling way too many all-nighters. But as a result, I ended up developing a lot of really good clientele. It becomes a very careful game of which clients do you prioritize. And fortunately for you guys are pretty much at the top of my priority list. So if I get a job from PGLS, I typically will turn down work from other agencies if they're asking me at the same time. But I mean, it's just that simple, right? Like, you learn which agencies to prioritize, and you try to accommodate your other customers if you can, like try and renegotiate schedules. Well, just familiarizing yourself with the writing style of whatever you're trying to translate. If you want to be a legal translator, then you need to understand how legal texts are read. And you can't just, put the meaning on paper. It needs to actually sound like a contract, or it needs to sound like whatever type of legal document it was intended to be, or that it is in the source language. So learning writing style is one of the most basic components to translation. Familiarizing yourself with the correct terms, because even if you find a term that might be an acceptable definition, it might not be the preferred or the actual most commonly used definition. So there's a lot of self-study involved in becoming a freelance translator. Japanese is not like English at all. It's pretty distant, actually. At least linguistically speaking. The sentence order is backwards, so the verb comes at the end of the sentence in Japanese. So it would be like, I to store go, or I to the store go. So it's a little bit difficult to wrap your head around the sentence structure once the sentence, especially when the sentences start to get really long, because Japanese has this category of characters that are called particles, and these particles don't necessarily have any meaning. For the most part, they're just there to structure the sentence. You're basically giving direction to verbs and objects and adverbs and the subject. And getting used to that is very difficult. The three favorite things to translate are one, those pre-transcribed interviews. Two is probably the all of the patient reports that I get from companies like PGLS. And then three would be contracts. And I've really enjoyed working with all of the project managers at PGLS. They've all been just so wonderful to talk to, and they're very respectable, polite, and very accommodating.